Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Just finished mowing the lawn. You know what's a funny thing about this lawn? It's about 40% grass and about 60% dandelion and weeds, but it's green, right? Okay, we got a pretty good one today. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get to it. Okay, there's a couple items I forgot to mention last week when I went to the Jacktown show. There was about 4 of them that I didn't. For some reason, they were still upstairs and I didn't bring them down. This here. Remember buddy Ben? Ben Mall had the problem with the balls on these. Remember with the that thing? I don't know what happened there, but this was $3, and I wanted to make a specialty tool out of this in an upcoming episode, so that's why I got this. This is really cool. You know what those are? Those regular T-bar breaker bars. Look at this beautiful ratchet, and this is a Herbrand. You could see, and look at that, with the push button here, and so smooth. They don't have the high gear tooth count of the newer ratchets, but look at that. This was $5, you could see. Isn't that nice? That'll clean up really nice. And then, obviously, these little crowbars, which I can't get enough of. But there was one other item, which we're going to talk about now, and that's this Dremel. Now, this Craftsman Dremel. Now, a lot of times, Dremel made the tools for Craftsman. And you could tell a lot of times the SKU numbers are similar and things like that. So this was most likely a Dremel tool. But when you see a case like this, I opened it up. It was at Jacktown, and the first thing I noticed that now again, there's no power there to try this out. So you look at the tool, and the first thing you have to do is you have to assess the tool, because a lot of these electric tools, or especially battery tools, they're DOA. They're DOA when you see them at a certain price. But here it was. I was checking it out, and I was looking over the cord. Everything looked good, and I was like, is it worth the $8? The chance to take, it does a free spin freely. Yes, it does. Does the switch work good? Yes, it does. Then you smell it. You smell into these little vents here. If it smells burnt, then stay away from it. But it didn't smell burnt, and it looks like it was a well cared for tool. So I said, you know what? And then obviously it had this with it. So I opened this up, and it had a lot of original accessories. You could see they're not worn out, they're not beat up, they're not rusty. I said the accessories alone are really worth. So I took the chance and I bought it. Okay, one thing I noticed, that if you look at the cord, you can see these little markings, and that's usually indicative. I love to use that word. I don't usually get to use it too often. That's usually indicative of some kind of moisture, like it was in a garage or something like that, and it got a little bit, like you could see. So what I like to do is wipe it down with a silicone. Silicone spray is very good for all kinds of rubber and things like that. Another good one is good old-fashioned Armor All is really good. So we'll wipe this down. We'll wipe down the case, because that feels like a rubbery case, and then we'll just address this chuck, run that under the wire brush, and we'll give it a little shot and see how it works. Okay, we have everything nice and clean, wiped everything down, cleaned up the chuck here, and we're going to plug it in. Make sure the unit is off. Plugging it in, and okay, don't want it to roll off. Okay, let's give it a try. I'm always nervous the first time turning. Okay. Okay, all speeds seem to work. This is low speed. Very nice. Okay, works very good. Nice unit. I'm glad I picked it up. Let me show you one thing I found interesting. Now, on the cord here, as I was cleaning up the cord, I saw this thing says M tag. Now I never had a device with this on there before, and it slides back and forth. And I said, it says do not remove and do not remove. And I keep thinking, what is this, some kind of, a noise reduction thing or something, stop interference. So I had to look it up. I looked up the patent number. See the patent number right there? Patent number 6589067. Turns out this is an anti-theft tag. So guess what? It's coming right off. Okay, sure enough, and there it is, the little anti-theft device. I don't know why they're doing that in the, and the do not remove thing, but get that off of there. I don't need it, and it just makes for the cord to wrap around so much easier to get back in the case. Lastly, I want to get rid of this Dremel $8 thing, and the best thing I found to take off this kind of marker is good old-fashioned acetone. Okay, next up, I have these beautiful flowers here, okay? You probably don't see too many of these, but I wanted to know if you know what they are. It's very common. It's kind of a mystery question. I know what they are. I'll tell you at the end of the video, but what do you think they are? And there's Kenji the Wonder Cat, who is keeping an eye on everything. Okay, today I'm in the mood to do this Ratchet, and so let's check it out, see what we have to do. Now you can see here the Ratchet's in great shape, but it lacks any kind of real polish to it. It's got a little bit of luster. I guess that's the original, but there's some marks on here. It's not in bad shape by any means whatsoever. But you see these here? These can be trouble. You know, the Phillips, and they look like a weird Phillips, don't they? You know, the way that they're cut. So what you have to do is, the first thing you have to do is make sure there's no residual dirt in there. So we'll take out our dental pick and pick out any residual dirt that might be in there, and then try and get a Phillips drive that will fit it properly so that we can take that off. Now this is the finest dental pick that I own. It's a real sharp point in there. Now you could use a needle, you could use anything, but you'd have to go in here like this and go into the actual there and pick out. There's always going to be grease. You see that? See that big chunk of grease? You know, you're going to have to pick out all that grease before you attempt to put it. See, it's really coming out, and that's one. Before you attempt to put any kind of Phillips drive in there, so you don't strip out these screws because they're hard to replace. You can see they come through the other side here. There's 4 of them. Okay, you can see the gunk we just picked out just from those 4 little screws, okay? Now, the next thing you want to do is, if you don't have a set of these jeweler screwdrivers, even the cheap brands are great to get, you know. I'm going to pick out a screwdriver that'll fit this screw perfectly, and that means there'll be no wobble, no back and forth, no shake. It has to fit perfect in there. This one fits very nice and tight. Now, you can see that the screws protrude through the other side, and they're going to be peened over just from that ratchet itself banging around. So what you want to do is you want to take a drop of oil, put it around the one you're going to work on, and then work that. As that drop of oil gets on there, you're going to work that screw back and forth until it comes out of there. It might take some doing because, like, see, it's peened over. So you're going to have to really use some force and go back and forth. Don't try and do it all in one take, until that screw backs out of that hole, and the oil will help it. Again, that's lubricating oil, not cutting oil. Okay, so now we took out that one screw. We're going to repeat that 4 times. Now, many times you'll have a screw, quite often your last one, that'll give you trouble. That's the case here. This one here, this one's really tight. Now, because it's so tight, these jeweler screwdrivers really don't have anything that you can get any kind of torque on to use it. So one thing that I found, if you take a vice grip, and here's what vice grips always come in and save the day. And what you do is you put it around here, not enough to crimp your tool that it's damaged, but just enough that it's on there nice and snug. And then what happens when you put this on here like this, it'll give you tremendous torque. But again, you always got to remember what kind of screw fastener you're dealing with, that you don't want to put too much torque on there that the screw will strip out. But then you, again, working it back and forth. Don't try and do it all at once, and that will get rid of that peening in the back, and it'll come out. Next up, it's always really a good idea to get one of these magnetic trays. These things are fantastic, and they're so inexpensive to get, and they really do work well. Now, what you want to do is, when you take out the screws, always put them in the order that they came out in each one. So you could see I exaggerated the pattern, but you could see which screw goes where. And the simple reason is, until you take them all out and compare them, you don't know if they're the same thread pitch or same screw, whatever that case may be. Now you can start taking the ratchet apart. This one here is very simple to take apart. What you do here is you take again, a dental tool, a nail, anything, and just move the casing to the side, lift it off, and you can see here, that's the casing on top. And okay, you can see here, these are called poles. Here's your little spring. Here's your selector lever when you move that up and down. So you always take a good look at it so you can remember which way what goes where. But you can see the selector lever when we push this down, how it moves the pole to the other side and how that works. and you can see that way. And then when I move it up, you could see it switches it. And I'm just putting my hand here so we don't move it. But you can see there's a spring on both sides, so we got to take them out and be very careful not to lose them. Okay, you can see here, it's normal grease and grime in there. Everything looks pretty decent. The gears and everything all look good on the ratcheting mechanism here. And again, I laid out everything according to what side they're on to make sure they're you know, the springs look the same. Obviously the poles are different, but that's the way they go back in. I clean them, I put it back the only way. It's just one way that you don't have to worry about putting it back together the right way. I'm going to clean this up and we'll put it back. Okay, here's where the decision making comes in. Now you can see here, this is the selector switch, right? And you can see there's a little pole there on top that it moves back and forth. Now, I don't know how that comes out. That might be pressed on. I don't think it's threaded on because I tried turning it, but it don't come off. And you know, again, how would you grip it? Now, this is where you have to make the decision on your skill level, whatever. Now, I've seen a lot of these ratchets where this is very loose and, you know, and kind of wobbly. And this thing is nice and tight and solid. I don't want to mess with that. The problem is if I can't take that off, I really can't do a fantastic job, but I can do a decent job. So you have to make your decision. You got to cut your losses. I'm not going to mess with that because I know I've seen them all screwed up before, and I'm very happy with everything, the way it looks and whatnot. And we'll try and do the best we can to get this because I want it to be a good functional ratchet. And you know, you start messing with that little thing, and you especially if you're putting marks in it, then it makes a huge difference on how it operates. So we're going to clean everything up, and we're going to address the areas we can address. Now, you know my favorite part. Remember what the ratchet looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to wax it yet. And it'll pick up some fingerprints because of that. But I just oiled it. I just oiled everything, and I used my 50-50 mix of Marvel Mystery Oil. Do you remember this? The Marvel Mystery Oil and the combination of the red grease. It's a really nice mix, and then everything's nice and smooth. You could hear it, you know, nice. It's just so smooth, and you could see here that base plate. Remember how messed up that was? And it's a J-10 model, as you could see, Herbrand, and we were able to enhance the letters, so everything came out really nice, all polished all the way around. Again, I'll pick up some fingerprints because I have oil on it and stuff. Here we have it to a mirror finish back here on the back. The selector switch works real nice, again, smooth. Did the handle over. So I'm really happy with the way this came out. These are nice. These were really nice ratchets, and just had a lot of style to them, didn't it? Look at that beautiful handle. Just a stylish ratchet. So let's give it a try. Okay, we're over here at the nut tester. This is a 19mm or 3/4 inch bolt on here. And we have a 19mm deep socket. I'll snap it on. You see it's a nice positive snap on here. You can hear the action, and here we'll do it loosening. You can see works really nice, has a nice action to it, and then slip this back and we're tightened. So these are beautiful little wrenches, and very, very comfortable in the hand. So I really like these Herbrands. Okay, for those of you that already knew, these are called chives, you know, like you would get on sour cream and chives on a baked potato. They're kind of related to the scallion, the leek, or the Chinese onion, things like that. They're, you know, these flowers are actually edible. So anyway, thanks very much for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hope you have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.